is not a drill, this is not a drill. All warriors mount up. Proceed to nav point Gamma. Rendezvous with Mobile HQ for tactical and situational analysis. Welcome to the MHQ podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to the MHQ podcast. This is Randall, I'm here with Bradley, and we've got Jonathan here also. Going to be covering some stuff from, what was the event that you went to, Jonathan?
The Las Vegas Open 350 tournament.
Yeah, I haven't been to that one. Bradley, have you gone to that one before?
Oh yeah, I went last year, and man, the dice gods did not like me at all.
Yeah, I kicked Bradley's ass at it last year.
That's because you luckily got that critical hit on the dang Blackhawk. That's why.
Nice. Nothing like local rivalries here.
Oh yeah.
All right. So I haven't been, so I'm curious, what was your impressions? You've been there twice now, Jonathan, so what was it like going to Vegas to do this event?
A lot of fun. It's the only time I've been to Vegas, so I spent most of my time in Vegas playing games. But it's an amazing city. The hotel is nice, and the convention center where all the games are being played is just amazing to see so many people who enjoy miniature games and just coming together and having fun.
That was part of a bigger event. It wasn't just BattleTech, right?
Yes, Frontline Gaming runs it. It's mostly like 60% Warhammer. Like they have 2 entire rooms, but they do all the X-Wing, basically any miniature game, you can find some tables of it there.
All right. How many people were in the 350 tournament?
So I believe it was 26.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
And then there was a separate classic tournament running at the same time. It had about 10 people, I think.
So bragging rights, critical hits in St. Pete had more people.
Yep, absolute.
Can't remember how it is, 30 something. I can't remember the exact number. But that was official. The guys from Wolf's Dragoons group, they came out and they really promoted it. And we had people from all over the state join us that time.
Yeah, Florida, we have a really nice gaming scene down here.
Yeah, it surprises me. Just, I moved an hour north of civilization up to Spring Hill, and there's quite a few players up here and trying to get things active again. All right, so you go in, you got your tournament. What was your impression of like coming in and getting everything organized? Because this is like the second year that you've done it.
Yeah, so I believe the Valhalla Club group was the one who really organized everything. They got the tables all set up the day before. Everybody was, how do I say this? Everybody knew what they were doing. We didn't have any real delays. The WolfNet people are great at organizing these tournaments.
Good.
Yeah, they seem to have a pretty good, simple system set up. I mean, it's like the, even last year LVO was a little bit, and there was no glitch. There was no hiccups, no snares, no miscommunication. When we even had to move from one table to another, and I mean, they moved the whole section for all the games, and we did it pretty fast. So those guys know what they're doing.
Luckily this year, the tournament organizers moved them before they set up. Another team needed a power supply.
So, okay, you got to the table, got everything going. How noisy was it? Were you able to hear your opponent pretty easily? Or?
Oh, there was definitely a bunch of background noise, especially when somebody did something really good at a different table. But
right.
For the most part, you could hear the people next to you. We have plenty of spacing.
Yes, I got it. 12 unit destroyed. Oh, yep, that kind of stuff.
Then you have somebody from Warhammer start the orc wah, and then everybody starts screaming. You can't hear anything for a couple of seconds.
Roar! Yeah, I can see that. All right. So, what was your first match? What was the matchup, and then what did your opponent bring?
Wait a minute. Did we cover? Jonathan, did you cover what you brought?
No, I haven't covered
no.
that yet.
So it was a early Republic era, and I stuck with my Ghost Bears, but I'm going to start branching out a little bit there. I went with a Thor, a Kingfisher, a Cougar F, which is a very... I stumbled across it completely by accident. Like 6 damage just short for like 32 points.
Damn.
A Viper, 2 Eponas, 2 R10s, which are so ridiculously undercosted, and a couple of flavors of battle armor.
A pretty well-rounded clan list, pretty much.
Yep. And yeah, I was happy with it. I had optimized it, made all these perfect changes, and about 10 minutes before I sent it to Andrew on the deadline, I'm like, you know what? I want to change these 3 units. And completely cut my flak out.
Now, do you?
Which ended up coming back
hindrance?
to bite me in the ass.
Okay, I was about to ask you.
Yeah, same thing was coming out. Do you regret doing that? I mean, it's like I think when you build your armies, when you look at your what Republic era and Clan Ghost Bear, you see yourself always playing combined arms, or do you prefer just to do only mech?
So, from a lore standpoint, I prefer to go more mech heavy, but then as I'm prepping for a tournament where it's like, oh, I'm paying a bunch of money, I kind of want to win, I do find that combined arms does tend to work better.
Absolutely. Now LVO, I was surprised by a few things. Did you see anything that from other people's armies that you came across? No details needed, but did you see some stuff that surprised you?
So Coach brought a 112 point Viking 2C.
Oh, what?
Ouch.
What? What? How?
I believe it's 112. It's somewhere in that range. And he brought that, 2 skill-free LRM carriers and 4 helicopters so he could hide everything behind a thing and indirect fire. Yeah, but a skill 2 Viking 2C.
Oh.
That's painful.
Ouch.
That was the match I wish I had my flak on, because I matched up against him round 4, I believe.
Right. So yeah, that's where you shot yourself in the foot, figuratively.
Luckily, I got some really good rolls on his helicopters and took them down. And
all you
he
gotta do is
wasted.
just hit it once and make it and see what kind of movement you can do to it. You just might cripple it and make it crash to the ground with a 1-point hitter, dude.
That's basically what ended up happening, but he had 4 of them.
Hey, oh, wow.
Yeah, 4 VTOLs, 2 sprints, 2 rippers, I think.
Yep.
Oh yeah, so fast ones that you can barely hit, but they can spot from long range. Yeah.
Now my MVP of that was the Shamash Recon vehicle. 21 points, and it took him 380 PV worth of shooting to finally take it down.
That's a lot of points, though. I mean, 120 points for a Viking 2C.
Well, 100 points on anything that's half of your force that you can bring.
But
so was this a 200 points per match, or was this using the new 250 points?
So it was 200 because they hadn't announced it beforehand.
Okay.
Oh.
But they had been testing it, so Coach kind of threw this together because he couldn't remember how to make 200-point lists since he'd been testing 250 so much.
Gotcha. All right, so your first match. What was your first match?
So my first match, I actually got paired up against a somewhat new player. I think he said he had played 4 or 5 games, which it's great that new players are willing to just go to these events and try to have fun.
Let's stop there for a second, okay? Now, when you play against a new player, evidently you can pretty much win the game. Do you at any point across the table and say, hey, you're pretty new, if you have a question, let me know and I'll be more than glad to give you the fair answer? Did you come across that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
good sportsmanship is what I'm more wanting players should be able to do. I mean, it just makes other players enjoy the game too.
Yeah, I think there were 4 players who described themselves as new there. And Andrew basically took everybody aside and said, hey, if any of your opponents are dicks to you, tell us and we'll fix that shit.
Their rule, man, don't be a dick. That's true.
Pretty much. So he was playing a Jade Falcon. And it was domination. And it was hard to balance him not realizing how to play the scenario with my desire to win by the scenario. And that actually kind of bit me in the ass a little bit. Because one turn I decided that, okay, it was 4 or 5 rounds in. I didn't want to drag it out just for the sake of dragging it out.
Yeah,
so I jumped my summoner onto the center objective point to take it and win. And he headshotted my full health summoner. And all of a sudden it went from, I'm easily winning this to, oh shit, am I going to lose to somebody who's played 3 games?
It just shows you got to earn those cookies. Victory just doesn't come when you play a noob. I mean, they may be new to Alpha Strike, but that don't mean that player, it goes back to the days of dogfighters with the German World War II fighters. You just didn't know who was in the aircraft, so you had to treat every opponent as the Red Baron, and you got to do a similar thing when playing these games, because some of our new players are from Warhammer. They know how to play with multiple units on the table, so
absolutely.
Give that, you're new, but I'm still gonna slap you. That's just the luck of the dice, really.
I don't mean to say I was patronizing him. I was playing, but I wasn't playing as cutthroaty. I didn't sprint my opponents behind him to steal his objectives turn 1. Which
that's a learning experience, though, too. I mean, it's not like you're abusing the person at all, man. You're sitting there, you're playing a game, and he has to learn. The new player has to learn that tactic. So smack him, man, but make sure it's hey, it's time. Do this instead. After you do the gray.
That game came a lot closer than I wanted it to be, but I did end up winning. I got 4 objectives. It was one half-health opponent versus an entire untouched Onager at the end, but I got the objectives, so I'll count it.
Yeah, I was watching.
End, win is win.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
But that headshot on the summoner, because I could have moved more things onto the objective and easily 100% guaranteed the win. I just didn't think I needed to. But lesson learned.
Do you think your army was prepared for all the different missions that came up?
Yes, it was a pretty well-rounded list. Overrun was the one I was a bit concerned about, but they didn't end up running it. Mainly because they didn't want to deal with the setup of lines.
So besides the headshot, which obviously caught you by surprise, anything that surprised you on the first round? Any tactics or unit abilities or anything?
No, it was a pretty straightforward game. I mean, I say he was new, but he knew how to play. He had a few questions, but for the most part, he had the basic. And it was pretty straightforward. Kill a couple of things until you can get onto their objective points.
All right.
Now, what was the
second match?
Yeah, second.
Yeah.
Second match was bunkers.
This is a good one.
And at the risk of making it sound like I had way too easy of a tournament, I played against another new player, and he got some advice to make sure to keep an eye on the infantry, and he took that way too literally. He managed to kill all my infantry off, but he lost most of his mechs doing it, and I had taken barely any damage. So I blew up one bunker with infantry and then spent the next 3 rounds just shooting the rest of the bunkers.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. Let's look at that for a second. Now, you have to be careful if your infantry get taken out and you use them as bait, like it's pretty much what happened in your scenario. You as a player should know, go ahead and try to do as much damage to the bunkers as much, but don't kill off your opponent, because that will cost you the game right there. You won't get many points. You'll get like 1 or 2. But if you're trying to cap it, go ahead and just whittle them down to 1 infantry unit and let it just ponder around as you do what you do to win the game. That's how I would do bunkers.
It wasn't even that I was using infantry as bait. It was the clan mechanized hover point. Yeah, he just went after it. Like, he threw a Centurion in to like get a short range shot at it, but gave me like 3 short range back shots.
Oh. Yeah.
He understood the infantry was dangerous, but over focused it way too.
Yeah, he just emphasized way too hard. I mean, that's just a noob player, but still.
And like I said, I tried to point out where he overcommitted in certain turns, and I hope he continues to play and learn the scenarios. I mean,
we can't win every game, that's for sure.
Exactly.
So real quick overview for people who don't know what bunkers is. You've got 6 bunkers on the table. 3 are yours, 3 are your opponents, and you've got to do what, 20 points of damage to destroy them?
Yep.
If you're attacking from the outside.
Or get an infantry unit inside of the bunker, and then it takes 1 turn, and then the infantry comes
so you
out.
can drop off the infantry in the entrance point of the bunker, and then the next round they enter it, and then the following round after that they leave, and then bunker explodes.
Yep.
So it still takes 3 rounds total, or minimum, to get into it, detonate or plant explosives, and then leave.
Well, 2 rounds. They can enter the bunker the turn they dismount their transport.
Yep.
Do they? Oh,
yep.
I thought that was they had to get to the entrance.
Nope, they have to end. They have to end the turn in contact with the door. So if you deploy them right in the wedge of the bunker, they can enter that.
So they enter that round. Okay.
Yep.
I thought they had to like break down the door. So okay, I'm 1 round behind then.
You know, that's the reason why you talk to players about a breakdown on the game, and you go like, oh, wait a minute, I was doing that all wrong the whole entire time. Duh.
Yeah. It's amazing how many times you play and you still learn something new.
Betcha.
Like, I learned something new about criticals in the next match, actually.
Go ahead, let's talk about that next match.
Well, before we go there, did you have any surprises on the second match?
Not really. Like I said, he was a new player. He didn't have any infantry I had to worry about. It was a very one-sided game.
Gotcha. Okay, so round 3, what was that?
Round 3 was hold the line. And this is, I don't say this, like, I'm not exaggerating. This is the worst I have ever been beaten on a game of 350.
And this is the guy that ended up winning, right?
Yep, Gregory Wright. Tal's on the Discord.
Okay.
He brought a all heat.
All heat?
This is Randall. This is your ball.
See, I tried that and it didn't work out for me.
I do not know what happened. He went undefeated. Nobody came close to beating. I'm gonna blame temporary insanity. I thought, he's got a bunch of heat and he's gonna try and shut down my max. I know vehicles take extra damage, but if they're not being shut down, I'll deal just as much. I got my ass handed. I destroyed a single unit of battle armor and didn't even get half structure on anything else.
Wow. Completely shut you down?
He had the Heat Eponas, Phoenix Hawk with Jump Strong jumping constantly, and I didn't want to have him sit back and just keep piling heat on, so I kind of tried to bait him. It was hold the line. So we have 3 objectives on each player's side, and if you're touching an objective at the end phase, like one of your opponent's objectives, you destroy it and claim it. I wanted to bait him into a short range fight and did it too well, and he managed to get on all 3 of my objectives in 1 turn. I shot him off one of them, but he claimed the other 2, and then I just couldn't hold him off the 3rd one.
Wow.
So was he hitting with the long range heat units?
he had a mix. He had a couple of long range units. The Loki. Well, I can't remember what the other one. But it was all 222 heat on like basically every single unit he brought.
Okay. So that's what I tried to do the 1 year at the critical hit event, and I just did not have the punch to kill things after I overheated them.
And I thought that's how the game was going to go. I'd take a little bit extra damage from the heat, but it would just, his damage wouldn't be high enough in the beginning to win. And I just got my ass handed to me. I don't know if heat is like completely broken. I think it might just be the fact that since so few people try it, everybody just didn't know how to handle it correctly.
Right. Now, how was he doing the dice rolls? Because it was multiple attack dice.
Hold on a second. First and foremost, the units that he was using, do you feel like he had more long range capability, or was it medium range heat?
Medium range.
Okay, that's really hard to beat in 350 because the range in 350 is predominantly medium. That's a tough cookie. I mean, talking from a strategic point, if this guy went undefeated with heat, that's fine and dandy. But as I've seen with Randall's army, it doesn't have enough punch behind it. What was his most punchful unit that he had that you can recall?
I mean, honestly, his units were all 222.
Ow.
So he didn't have anything that did real damage. And that's why as soon as I was done with the match, I realized if I had just gone all in on mechs, played a bit more carefully, I probably would have been able to just gun him down before he could shoot everything off. I just made a series of mistakes and then kept making mistakes while trying to fix my previous mistakes.
Yeah, once you got to realize you can't fix turn before. You got to just go, okay, don't do that again.
Yeah. Well, my biggest mistake was going heavy on the vehicle and all heat lists. I completely underestimated how much the extra damage they were going to.
Oh, yeah, you know what? Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, if he's throwing 2s on each and everything and then he hits you, that's an extra point. So now he's throwing 3s on everything. What was the skills of his units? Do you know?
I believe it was all 4s. I don't think he had anything skilled up.
Even his jumping Phoenix Hawk?
Yep. No, he just jumped it into short range for rear and...
okay, so he used those angles.
Yeah. Angled player.
Okay.
It's a tough one, bro.
So, getting back to the rolls, though, how did they... So, according to Alpha Strike, you have to combine 1 point of damage with 1 point of heat. Is that how he was doing it?
Yes. So if he had 2 at medium and 2 heat, if he hit, he got the damage and the heat.
And the heat. Okay, so yeah, that would be 2 points of damage if he hit. So I was confused about that the first year. So the first year I was like, I was just treating heat as a separate attack roll. Yeah, so it was like, 1 point of damage, but I missed with the heat, no big deal. Or vice versa. I missed with the damage, but I hit with the heat, so you still gave me an effect. Then they were like, no, you do it this way. I was like, what? You just cut my probability of hitting at all in half. I was like, there goes part of my strategy here. Okay, and
yeah, but that is how it's written.
Well, yeah, the new errata had just come out, and I hadn't gotten up to speed on that part.
That's one of those.
No, that's how we played it.
Okay. Yeah, just making sure that was being enforced, because that was one of those things that bit me in the ass the year before.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a pretty tough army to beat when you're dealing with the heat. Mechs will be slowed down, vehicles take extra damage. The best thing you can do is just try to singular, keep him from shooting multiple units of yours, and while you put more guns on his and just nail those targets. I mean, that's really hard to get, bro. Don't beat yourself up too hard on that one.
Oh, no, I'm not.
He just melted you in place.
Yeah, if you're gonna lose on a match, lose to the winner of the tournament. So
yeah,
exactly.
You'd be like, he ran over me first.
Yeah.
But and then one of the mechs I did take took a fire engine hit. turn 1.
Ooh.
On double
jeez.
fixes.
So you're
Lovely.
overheating, and you got your own shots that are heating you up.
Yep.
That sucks.
That's
But
like
yeah,
playing
nothing
with
more really to
Infernos.
say about that one. I tried to kill his stuff. I missed. He killed my stuff and got all 3 objectives.
But you still feel like if you would have run all mechs, you would have been much better off that.
Absolutely. I figured I don't want to be shut down. Just go with the vehicles, take the extra damage. That was a mistake, and I know that for next.
Dude, now let me ask you this question. Are most of your mechs jump capable?
I think actually only one of the ones I took half my mechs. 2 of them were jump
Yeah, you would
capable.
have been able to deal with stuff efficiently with a jump list. I mean, you'd have been able to take the 2 points of heat and go, oh, I'm overheated this turn? Okay, I'm just going to jump out of the way and just cool off and then jump back out and hit you when you come back. Yeah, you probably would have done better with a mech army.
The heat opponents are interesting, though, because it is very hard to get away from them.
Yeah, they can chase you down. All right, so that was round 3. So round 4.
Round 4 was Headhunter. This is where I played coach. So I had seen his list, and because we'd all been making fun of his 112 point Viking all day.
Did it
And
pay off?
it scared me a lot. And so his Headhunter, obviously he named the Viking one of his Headhunters and the
Right.
one of his LRMs the other. We did terrain, and he stacked the 2 giant ass hills on the corner of the map and hid his stuff behind them.
That's coach for you.
And I realized my game plan going into this one was going to be take out his spotters and then try to snipe his LRM that was his commander and just hope to hide my commanders and force, because the Viking has 4 inches of movement. I take out his commander and hide mine. That thing's never going to be a problem again.
Right. Yeah, because he needs the indirect fire in order to really hit a target.
Was it a Viking 2C or a standard Viking?
Viking 2C.
Yeah, those things are mean.
So,
Right.
I mean, game plan went pretty well. Turn 1 of shooting, I got motive hits on 2 of his helicopters. Didn't take them down, but cut their TMM in half.
Real quick.
Hey,
Okay, hold up. I just looked online and looked at the Viking 2C. 17 armor and 7 internal structures.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That's skill 2.
Damn.
yeah, ouch.
So, I was not going to try to go toe-to-toe with it.
Yeah, you're gonna lose that battle.
Yeah, you can't do enough damage to that thing. You all you have really is hope is you throw a mini dice, you get some crit hits. That is ow, 17 armor. You got case 2. Crit resistant.
Yeah.
Oh hell.
Crit resistant on top of that. Yeah, that thing's a zombie.
Yeah, you ain't
It's never
killing
going
that.
down.
No. Artillery is what you need for that game. Damn.
Yeah, were you doing anything? Was this using any of the optional rules for artillery or support?
Yes, our artillery is still allowed, but I don't think I actually saw anybody using artillery at the tournament.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because you get long range target numbers with medium range bracket.
Yeah. And apparently there were some ways to make it work, but nobody tried it for LVO.
Right.
So my game plan, like I said, crippled 2 of his helicopters turn 1. He tried to shoot my Shamash, which is little hover unit. So I don't know if you're familiar with it. It took all the shooting from his Viking and both LRM carriers and survived without taking a hit.
Damn.
So-
Tweave. Woo.
So I got 2 motive hits on his helicopters for absolutely nothing in return from him. Turn 2, I took them down. I think I took down a 3rd helicopter as well with just a lucky shot. Then it took all of his shooting again at the Shamash to kill it. So it took 2 rounds of all of his firepower to kill a 2 health unit.
You wanted to schwack it, that's why.
But I was obviously fine with that. I moved everything into some woods to take down his last helicopter. I did, but then he immobilized one of my opponents in return with the indirect fire. After that, it was just I had time, because the way he had stacked the hills, he actually couldn't climb the hill with the Viking.
Oh, it hurt himself.
And so it took him like 3 turns to get the Viking up to where it could see and shoot things, and I had plenty of time to maneuver everywhere I wanted to take out his LRM carriers. Took them out. A couple of turns of hiding my injured things and taking pot shots at his Viking. And I did manage to take it down in the end. And so killed both his commanders, got both tokens, and he didn't kill anything else of mine.
Wow, so that was pretty one-sided then.
Yeah.
So all those points in that one guy, I mean, granted, it was probably the last mech standing on his side, but still.
Oh, I mean, but still,
And-
it's also is the thing that really helped him out. From what it sounds like, that the terrain was set up in a certain way that it hindered his ability for his unit that can only go 4 inches to get out of there. So that's excellent use of the terrain in front of you, man. I mean, that's how you deal with a monster like that.
Yeah, you pin him into a corner, literally.
Yep. And I mean, almost everything I had was at like 1 or 2 health left at the end. But I just my
We're
Viper,
still
which is
here.
one of my,
We're barely functioning, but yeah, still alive.
because my Viper, if he had to stick to have his back edge against the edge of the map, so it created a blind spot next to the double stacked hills. So if he moved out, I jumped my Viper behind it and shot him in the rear, and if he held back, I just hid my Viper and he couldn't kill it. So he couldn't get any points.
All right. So were there only 4 rounds, or did you have more than that?
No, there was a 5th round.
5th round, okay. So it was round 5 then.
So round 5 was King of the Hill. And I played against Ed, Metal Ed. And this was one of my favorite games. This was probably my favorite game of the his list, nothing too crazy on either side. I learned you can sprint things onto the King of the Hill and still have it count. So he got an early point. SRM carriers, LRM carriers, Battle Master on his side. Eventually, I managed to push. So 3 turns, we just shot each other. I couldn't push him off the objective. He got 3 objective points. I'm like, well, shit, this is gonna be another blowout for me. I got a couple of lucky hits and killed everything he had on the point, and my opponent somehow managed to survive on the point. So I got a point. I'm like, okay, I'll take 1 point so I get for tiebreakers and stuff. Next turn, somehow my opponent survived on the point again. I got it up to 3-3 objective point before he finally managed to kill my opponent as the last unit. And it was just one of those games. We were both outmaneuvering each other. Just dice kept betraying both of us in the exact wrong time. But I've never seen a King of the Hill game go to 7 total objective points, 3-4.
Dang.
Yeah.
Especially after he got 3 at the beginning. He just needed 1 more, and I shot all his fast shot stuff, and he couldn't get on it.
That just showed you saw that you were in jeopardy of losing the match, and you just said, nope, I'm going to seize the objective, and I'm going to put this guy over here and let him just sit there. Lucky for you, the dice rolls were there for you to where it could survive a couple turns and net you the points that you needed to win. That's 2 shades on using tactics, boo.
But yeah, so I just barely lost that one. It took me, I think I was 2nd or 3rd place before that. It took me down to 5th, which still better than the 7th last year, so
Yeah.
I'm happy.
I started at like 22nd on the list, and I ended at like 20 seconds. It's like, all right, and that was my heat one. So that's interesting to me that somebody else is able to do so much better with their heat force than I was able to do.
So you also have to think that the meta's evolved since then. A lot more people are going vehicles. So as I learned, the vehicles aren't very good against
Right. Well, my first match where I did well, I did well my first 2 matches. But first one was a stand-up fight, and my opponent was actually Ray Rasta, and he brought in a clan force with the Kodiak 771. So I was like, overheated him first round, 2 points, shut him down the second round, and just blasted the living shit out of him the next couple of rounds. It took pretty much every shot I could land to do it, and then by like round 6 or whatever it was, that's when I was told I was doing it wrong.
I tell you my own perspective about, a heat unit. If you're playing that kind of thing, the best thing you do is always applying 2 points of heat to a mech that you currently are trying to get a hit game. Keep him 2 heat, because that's going to be minus on the movement, harder to hit you back. But you got to have a brick thrower to help you crack it when you start degrading the abilities of a mech. That is definitely something you need to do. But being able to have 2 or 3 units out there throwing 2 points of heat at every mech, that's going to turn into your favor, because now that's 3 units the next turn that theoretically you really don't have to worry too much about as far as firing abilities, because they already got a +2 from the heat, and plus if you keep it in medium range, that's a 4, and then you're only dealing with your TMM that you have, plus the skill of the unit.
If I had something like a king crab with skill 5 or something like that, that would have been ideal. It's like, you don't have TMM, and I shut you down this round. Okay, well that's -4 for me. He's just there to clean up the mess.
That's exactly what you need right there.
Now I need to practice against some heatless and figure out exactly how to counter it.
Lucky for you, sir. Like we're going to be doing is trying to get this going on for March 23rd for this tournament that I want to do at Critical Hits. So go ahead and get your Jihad army ready, because that's what we're going to play. Definitely.
Yep, already got a couple ideas I'm working on.
Take a look at the experimental units, that have been previously off limits before. I'm going to allow it to be played in the army. So, I definitely want to see what people want to do, and we're just going to have some fun with it.
All right. Any other last thoughts about the tournament and going? Sounds like you had a great time. Gonna go again?
Oh, definitely. I'm thinking of Gen Con as well.
Oh yeah, a lot of us are doing that one.
Yeah, I need to get out of the state.
Yeah. But no, like I was saying earlier, it was a lot of fun. Nice that a lot of new players are showing up and trying this. It's a healthy sign for the community. Lots of things learned. Oh, like I was saying, my last game, King of the Hill, I learned when you get a weapon crit on something that doesn't have weapons, you deal an extra point of damage.
What?
Yeah.
Hold up. Wait. So if a unit doesn't do any damage, it doesn't have any equipment,
and you
take an extra point of damage?
Yep. I shot a sprint helicopter that had landed on the King of the Hill, got a crit on it, and weapon was like, oh, that does nothing. And Chandler's like, no, actually, if you read it, it does an extra point of damage if they have no weapons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, sure enough, he was right.
I have missed that every time I've read that. I've probably read it a dozen times to try to figure things out.
It's if you do a crit that does not affect the unit, but like a fire control or something on something that doesn't have weapons, it's an extra point of damage instead.
That's awesome to know.
What? I gotta reread now.
Hey, every so often you
That's what
should
I'm
crack
saying.
open a rule book and read it. Even I... Oh, really? Okay, now we see this, having the rule book and just occasionally glancing through it, rereading rules is just a way to make sure you're still playing the game fair.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
Bradley and I were talking this last week. It's like, does a weapon hit affect AMS? And technically, AMS is not a weapon, but you could have more than one AMS system. So it is a counted object, and you reduce all things by 1 point that have an increment. So it's like, well, would that count? Do you wipe that out? Is it possible to have ECM that has like ECM2, which there's a couple of units that have that? It's like, does that go down with a weapon hit? So there's some weird little nuances because it's got an incremental value to it. Do those things get hit? So it doesn't say so in the weapon hit description, but I'm curious what the developers say.
Yeah, the critical hit's page 50. Just one little, it's the first paragraph, if you latest edition. But critical hit doesn't affect it. Apply 1 extra point of damage instead. And that changed the game.
Mac.
All right. Well, we just learned something new too.
Learned something new.
How about that?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Andrew was standing right there and he didn't even know it. Like, nobody knew it. Chandler had just happened to read it when he was at the airport reading through some rules.
Handlers, the guys with the freaking
Nice.
cedar little display things. I remember him last year. He blew me away with the notion of using X-Mech infantry and hover Savannah Masters. I was like,
Savannah Master, yeah.
I was like, how the hell does a 5-ton vehicle move a 4-ton infantry? X-Mech. What? Oh yeah, that I blew me away, literally.
Don't think there was anything like that this year.
I know, man. I turned around and told him, I was like, basically, you got a crit on a stick, bro.
Well, you could do the same thing with, say, a 10-ton hover or a VTOL. Yeah, drop off your battle armor at the end of the battlefield.
Yeah, but that's different. That's not a 5-ton vehicle taking 4 tons of infantry.
Yeah, true.
Except you can't. Mechanized rules say you can't take off and use VTOL movement if the battle armor's riding outside of it.
Really?
At Omni.
I thought VTOL could still do it.
If it's external, not internal. Externally, you can't do it, but internally, you can.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But yeah. So X-Mech wouldn't help you in that
Exactly.
situation.
But still, crit on a stick that went 26 speed. I was like, oh hell. Nothing I could do about it. Nothing.
All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us on our podcast tonight, Jonathan. You know.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Dude, like we always want to have it anytime one of our people go out. We want to have them come on board and say, hey, this is what we did, you know, and blah blah blah, like we're doing today.
Yeah, I also want to throw a thank you to the folks that responded. We are now on Facebook on the MHQ podcast group. And we asked some people to submit some of their photos of their units with their paint jobs. Got quite a few for our last video, so thank you for that. And hopefully we'll get some more, more opportunities for people to send in their pictures, and we'll display them as we get them. All right, guys. We'll sign off now.
All right, man. See you guys. Later.